about the fact that theoretically, if someone were to cough or sneeze or even speak, the respiratory droplets would be released from their respiratory system and released into the air. Now, depending on the circumstances, say for instance you're in the park and the wind is blowing very hard, possibly the particles could travel more than 6 feet, even double that, depending on the circumstances, but we have to act within reason. And the 6 feet rule is a very safe guideline that was put out by the CDC, and it's very important that we follow this guideline, and that way people have something to go by. But theoretically, anything is possible, but I feel very comfortable with the CDC guidelines at this time.
And so this is basically one researcher's opinion right now that we should go a little farther.
It's not so much as an opinion. The guidelines released by the CDC, as I said, this is a very fluid situation. A lot of things are changing. Like earlier today, I was on your programming and I did a talk about wearing masks out in public. Initially, they were saying don't wear a mask out in public if you're not a healthcare worker and you're not sick. But now the CDC and the World Health Organization is saying wear a mask. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong or right. They're just giving their best educated answer to the information that they're receiving at real time. I mean, this is our first time experiencing something like this. This is a new pandemic that we're experiencing, and the information is coming every day. But the CDC and the World Health Organization, which are the most trusted sources that we have at this current time, they have many scientists and researchers that are basically analyzing this information every day, and they give us the latest guidelines based on the latest information. And as to date, the 6 foot rule is the most practical recommendation by the CDC. But at the same time, it is possible that droplets could go further than 6 feet, but we have to maintain, just a realistic approach. So 6 feet is a way that we can cohabitate, because at the same time, it's very advised to stay at home as much as possible. But there's some essential duties that we have to perform as families. We have to go to the grocery store and get food. We have to go to the pharmacy and get our medications and other essential daily activities that we just can't get around. So following the 6 feet rule is the safest practical way that we can coexist as humans in the world, but at the same time knowing that nothing is absolute is just the most practical and the latest recommendations by the most trusted source at this time. So
what you're saying basically is that even though there might be more research out there, stick with the CDC guidelines and follow whatever they say at this point.
Right, because in reality, anything is possible. I mean, you can say if you go to an airport and you go too close to the airplane, if it lands improperly, it could damage your vehicle. That's why you can't drive very close to the landing strips. But in reality, it's possible a plane could malfunction and land on the garage. I mean, so anything is possible, but we just have to go with the most practical scenario with the greatest level of recommendations by the most trusted sources. And the CDC, like I said, they have the research, they have the analysis, and they have the latest data. So following the 6 foot rule, that's very comfortable as far as the practicality that we can still coexist and maintain our daily function that is essential.
For those with mild symptoms of the coronavirus, how long does it take to recover?
Well, it depends on each individual. As the governor just stated and the state epidemiologist, Dr. Byers, it depends on the individual. Some people have mild to moderate symptoms, and according to the World Health Organization and the CDC, up to 80% of individuals that contract this virus have these mild to moderate symptoms. These individuals theoretically would recover much more quickly if they have any symptoms at all, some as soon as 1 to 2 weeks. But then for those that have a more ill course, it might take up to 6 weeks or longer. So generally, if you want to just give a generalization, you can say anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks safely, but at the same time, some people can have a course that can be a little bit longer in days.
This is a question that comes from Tommy and Linda Martin. They both recently received their second pneumonia shot, which is recommended for people 65 and older. Will it help them to not contract the virus? And if they do contract it, will the shot help them have a less severe case?
Now that's a good question. The bottom line is the pneumonia shot will not protect you against the coronavirus. But one of the main causes of death if someone contracts the coronavirus are other comorbidities along with the coronavirus. What the coronavirus does on an individual who contracts this virus is it causes their immune system to be drastically weakened. That's why in a lot of cases, the people that lose their lives from coronavirus infection die more quickly if they already have a compromised immune system because of other comorbidities. If an individual were to get the pneumonia shot and hypothetically they get the coronavirus infection, in the case that they got the pneumonia shot, there's less of a chance that they'll contract pneumonia while having the coronavirus. So their chances as far as having a better recovery are better. So it's advised to get the pneumonia shot if you're 65 or older, which is recommended, because what it does is it protects you from getting pneumonia. But as far as protecting you from coronavirus, it won't protect you from coronavirus, but it will protect you in a sense that if you do get coronavirus and you are someone who's susceptible to getting pneumonia, now that factor is no longer possible, or at least much less possible, so you have a better chance of fighting off coronavirus and surviving, especially if you're a senior citizen.
If someone contracts the virus and recovers, can they contract the virus again?
Well, that too, and as I said, a lot of this information is fluid. I mean, more and more information is coming in every day. The scientists, the researchers, they're giving analysis of this data. As of today, if you get the coronavirus, the latest data has revealed that there's a very low likelihood that you'll get it again. So much so that they are currently involved in research with the FDA, where they're taking serum from individuals who have recovered from coronavirus and researching the possibility of introducing this serum to people who have not yet contracted the coronavirus. In this process, these individuals who receive this serum from individuals who recovered from coronavirus receive the antibodies in the serum. These antibodies are the body's protective mechanisms that have been produced in individuals who have contracted the coronavirus, and theoretically these antibodies could act as either a prophylactic measure for individuals who have not gotten it yet, or even act as a curative agent for individuals who get the coronavirus. But this research is all currently in process. But the take home is, if you get the coronavirus, theoretically your body would produce antibodies to fight it off in the event that you come into contact with the coronavirus again. So you do have some immunity, but as far as the level of immunity is not yet determined, but it is very promising.
This question comes from Robert. Are there any studies that show the disease can be transmitted by mosquitoes?
There are not. That's a very good question as well, and I did a lot of research on that because I get these questions every day as a family physician, working in the front lines of the coronavirus, you know, out there, seeing individuals coming in off the street with all these symptoms. They ask a lot of questions, but the mosquito question does come up quite a bit. But as to date, there's been no documented cases where a person has contracted coronavirus from a mosquito, but at the same time, we are at the time of the year where the mosquitoes are becoming more prevalent, and it's a good idea to still practice mosquito hygiene, you know, using insect repellent with DEET, covering our arms and legs in the evening hours, just because mosquitoes do contract other viruses. So we have to be aware of that. So, you know, basically we have to still be aware of mosquitoes, but no, mosquitoes do not cause coronavirus.
Well, we recently learned about the possibility that COVID-19 can spread from humans to animals. An example would be the tiger that contracted the virus in New York. Do you have any guidelines for pet owners? Yeah,
that's very disheartening to me. I actually did a lot of research on that. I'm a pet owner, not by choice. My daughter went off to college and left me with her dog, and I've fallen in love with the dog, but she's back home now in college in New York, told her to vacate the dorm. But the bottom line is, a lot of pet owners around the world, I looked at information where individuals in countries like China, where there was a big scare, were abandoning their animals, and there were even some reports where individuals were throwing their animals from apartment buildings out of fear that the animals could cause harm to the rest of their families. I mean, with this fear, they were causing harm to these animals, and it really hurt me. But I want to reassure, as to date, there's no research that's shown that the animals can cause infection in humans as to date. So for now, it's just a good idea, if you have an animal in the house, just use good hygiene. For instance, while we're still investigating this matter, which has not shown yet, it's maybe not a good idea to exchange saliva with your animal or have them too close in the face right now. And if your animal gives you any signs that it may have some illness or sickness, it's a good idea to go ahead and call the animal's veterinarian and let the veterinarian evaluate the animal and make sure the animal is safe. But as of now, we need to still love our animals and care for them and understand that the research has not shown this as to date.
Another question from a viewer. There are several different treatments suggested for COVID-19. One is the anti-malaria drug, chloroquine. Where do you stand on the usage of this drug?
Well, it's interesting. The governor talked about that a little earlier, and he talked about President Trump has made a lot of optimistic speeches about this miracle silver bullet drug, and at the same time, the FDA and the CDC, they've announced that even though there have been some comparison studies where individuals that were taking these medicines may have shown some improvement, but it's not yet been documented in the research, where the medicine is being used in some areas and even in the United States, I've learned, and in other countries, but they're using it for what's called off-label usage, meaning that the FDA has not put their stamp on it yet, significantly saying that this medicine can treat coronavirus. It's basically being used in an experimental way, but at the same time, the FDA is investigating this very diligently, but as to current date, they've not announced that the medication is indicated specifically for coronavirus infections. Also, we have to be careful because in a couple of countries I've learned people have overused the drug and basically some people have over-medicated with this medication and lost their lives. And then we have to look out for those with lupus. The #1 indication for this hydroxychloroquine, the Plaquenil, and by so many people using it or taking it when it's not even been proven to be effective yet, some people that have lupus that really need this medication, there's a risk that they might not be able to get it. So I advise everyone to just give it a little more time for the researchers to come up with a significant indication for this medication, but still, let's all be hopeful.
And speaking of other drugs, there is this, do you think this Remdesivir, which is an antiviral drug, is potential treatment for COVID-19? Right.
Now, that's another drug that's experimental right now. It does not yet have the indication, but there are current clinical trials going on where they're investigating it, but that's another where it's not yet confirmed, but we are hopeful. And we'll just have to be hopeful, but at the same time, we have to wait for the proper testing to occur and the confirmation that the medicine is effective and also that the medication is safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that it could take up to 18 months for them to get results on some of these test results on these drugs. Are we still looking like that, or is the time speeding up?
The time is speeding up, and President Trump is putting a lot of pressure on the FDA and the researchers to move as fast as they can, but they still have to follow those protocols for safety. Because what we don't want is to be irresponsible and label a drug as effective and safe and learn in the rear end that it's not, and we've actually caused more harm than good. So we have to always put safety first, because the #1 thing as a physician that we don't want to do is we do not want to cause harm.
The next question is coming from Madison Seniors. How can people disinfect packages delivered by mail? And for groceries that are ordered online, how contagious are the containers, and how can people disinfect those containers?
Yeah, that's a question that just keeps coming up at my clinic. So many of my patients are so worried. I mean, there is so much anxiety associated with this coronavirus situation that we're currently involved in, and it's very warranted. I mean, it's a very scary situation because there's a lot of uncertainty. As I said before, the information is fluid. The guidelines are changing, and it's just making people's anxiety go up. But as far as packaging, now it is true that the CDC did state that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces for a period of time, depending on the surface. Like with cardboard, it's maybe 1 or 2 hours. With hard surfaces, it can last for days, such as steel or copper. But with packages, there's very low risk. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to be cautious. So what I advise my patients to do is if you receive a package and you have concern, maybe open the package. If you want to really be safe, wear gloves. And maybe dispose of the gloves once you get the papers out of the package or whatever's in the package, and then get rid of the wrappings of the inside of the package, and then wash your hands again for at least 20 seconds, and you know, just practice good hygiene. But the chances of a package giving you coronavirus, it's a very low possibility, very low possibility. But at the same time, like I said, it doesn't hurt just to be cautious. So, you know, just step one, when you get a package, say you get food that's being delivered by a waiter or one of these very noble services that help us during this time. Maybe for my family, we leave the package outside. We get the package. If we have gloves, if you have gloves, wear them, bring it in. Dispose of the covering. Some people, it's even advised to leave the outside packaging outside and get the stuff out and bring it in, and you could even wipe it down on the outside. And just wash your hands very frequently. And also, you don't want to touch your mouth or your nose or your eyes in the process of transferring the food into your home. And like I said, just remember, wash your hands when you're touching things, and that will help bring more safety.
You're on the coronavirus task force for the city of Jackson. What are you learning? What are you discovering being on that task force? Well,
I'm discovering that Mayor Lumumba and the leadership of the city of Jackson, Dr. Blaine and Omari, the leadership, they're just doing a great, spectacular job. Instead of just being on the defense, they're getting on the offense, and they're going out into the community. Number one, what they're doing is they're educating. The mayor, he got what, you know, did a teleconference with all the firemen over a course of 3 days. He worked with the police department, all the first responders, and just educated them on what's going on. And I was a part of that and very proud, and it was a very good experience. They've purchased more testing, where they can do more testing for the city employees. We even have a clinic. It's the City of Jackson Clinic that's free to all the city employees. And if any city employee has any symptoms or think they've come into contact, we provide a free service where they can contact the clinic, and they'll have a telemedicine conference with the provider, and they can let the provider know what's going on. In addition to that, the leadership with the mayor at the head have very strict protocols. We talked to a lot of the departments today on a teleconference session where we went over those protocols. But the number one objective is to keep everyone safe and let them know if they have any concerns, especially any symptoms such as symptoms of coronavirus with the fever, the cough, any type of symptoms, let us know, and we remove them immediately, evaluate them, and then we make an informed, educated decision on how we're going to go forward for the safety of not just them, but everybody in their department and the city on a whole.
Any closing thoughts to our audience about what they should know about this virus?
Well, basically, this is a very difficult time. I mean, in my lifetime, I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, but the most important thing we have to do is understand that we're going to get through this. We have to follow the guidelines that are recommended by trusted sources, not so much believe in all the things we see on social media or the myths, and just know, as I said before, we will get through this and come out even stronger on the other side.
Dr. Quinn, we thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us tonight, answering our viewer questions about the coronavirus. Dr. Quinn, we also appreciate you being here. And thank you for those for watching tonight's Town Hall event. You can find more information about the coronavirus on our website. It's WJTV.com, and you will be able to find stories about how Mississippi is responding to the pandemic. And tune in to WJTV 12 News at 10 tonight for a recap of the Town Hall event with Governor Tate Reeves. Until then, make it a good night.